Alright folks, here we are on day 2. Last night I got the governor and the carburetor all back together. I also ended up resetting my points at 20 thousandths by the book, and I retimed it to 5 degrees instead of 10, which I had it at before. So I got those all done. I fired it up. It seemed to be running a lot smoother at an idle. It seems to be firing a little bit harder now. But aside from that, it's also running and it's not skipping as much as it was. So I forgot to put the little check ball back into the accelerator pump last night, which was causing it to kind of starve a little bit for gas. So I just put that back in. So we're going to fire this thing up and see how it does and see how everything sounds with the new settings. Not too bad. It does sound a lot more even than what it was before. It's not popping and burping as much on an idle, which is always a plus. A lot smoother of a high idle too. Still has a little bit of a dead spot, but overall definitely a lot better. So I'm gonna let this idle for a little bit longer, then we can start in on either the brakes or the steering stabilizer. I'm not too sure what I'm going to be doing next. I jumped ahead and I finished up my brackets for my steering stabilizer. As you can see, I have that one mounted to the steering box, and I have this one clamped to my drag link. I still have to pull them off and paint them and everything, but it seemed to work out pretty good. Holds it really nice. I would have liked to have it in line with the drag link a little bit more, as you can see, but because you have this arm that swings over so much, I really can't move it over here anymore. But for what it is, hopefully it'll take some of the play and the slop and the death wobble out of this, which would be really nice. So that's pretty much done. And last night we ended up putting the bed on. I had a local trucking company guy down the street come over with his loader, and he dropped the bed on for me, so that worked out really nice. I just got a couple of U-bolts on it now. I still have to finish cleaning up some of the underside of it. On some of these cross member, there's a lot of stuff sitting up in here, so I got to vac all that out, get it cleaned out, and then I can finish clamping this thing down. I also have to put my lights on it. I have to put my mud flaps on the back of it. So hopefully we can get most of that done today. Alright folks, we're a couple hours later here. Things were moving along, so I didn't want to break for any camera work, just to keep things moving. So I got my stabilizer all mounted, whether you can see it. Brackets are all painted, and that's on there. The last thing I have to do is get it off the jack stands and check my front end alignment once I start rolling it. Make sure everything's all in check. As for the bed, I get it all clamped down. I have 3 clamps for each, 4 clamps I had made for each side. I only put 3 on because I'm not sure where I'm going to put the 4th one yet down the end, because it depends on what I'm going to do for a rear hitch later on. I also scraped out all the frame rails and the C channels, which unfortunately they used channel instead of doing a C. They curled it up, so all kinds of junk sits in these and on the inside of those. And I scraped out quite a bit. It's about a 5-gallon bucket, and it's got about 4 or 5 inches of dirt in the bottom of it, so hopefully that'll keep it from rotting out for a while, even though the bed is a little bit punky in some spots, like so. And as for the back, I got my mud flaps on and my lights just for the time being. I have a big piece of plate I'm going to use for a rear hitch, which I can weld into these channels along with some supports, but for the time being this keeps me legal so I can get it on the road and get it to the show this weekend. I also painted my bed. I put a coat of used gas and oil on it. I usually mix it up pretty good and it soaks in really nice. tomorrow morning I'm going to do another coat and let that soak right into the wood, hopefully preserve it for a little bit longer. So aside from that, there's a couple other things I got to finish up. I bought some spark plugs for the engine, so I got to gap those and put those in. I'm sure that'll help things run a little bit better. But aside from that, I'm going to get this finished up, and then if all goes well, maybe we can do a little drive before we go to the show on Sunday. Well, folks, we had the Bay State Chapter Truck Show today, and I brought the 61 down. Pretty good show. A lot of people showed up. So now I'm just taking the truck back to my uncle's place, parking it for the week. But I figured I'd take you guys along this time, get an updated driving video of it. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody to hold the camera, so you guys are going to be spending it on the back window for a while. I'm going to take the scenic route across town. Steering stabilizer helped out a lot too. It got rid of a lot of my death wobble. Actually, I haven't had any so far, so that worked out nice. Hopefully, if all goes well, we won't have any on the ride over. drive, folks. About 35 miles an hour, give or take. Once I get that brownie transmission in here, hopefully we can bump it up to about 45 or so, would be nice. So there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the series so far. As I said, the flatbed's on it, and for right now, it's pretty much about as far as it's going to get, except for a rear hitch in the near future. But right now, I got to try to focus on the 64 a little bit, get that project moving along. So, hope you all enjoyed it, and that's all for now.